Hey everybody, I've been promising you that I'd go through the programming that I did at the rooftop at our office. It's kind of a Frankenstein rooftop. It's a single zone rooftop that they put some zones on, and let's just go through it. I already did the programming. I'm not going to redo it. I'm just going to go through kind of what I did. So on network inputs, I added a damper position. At first, I added 3 of them, but we found out we didn't need the third one. I'll explain that later. So I got damper position 2 and damper position 3. And what that is, that's the VAV damper position of this will be our automation department and this will be our training room. And then down here, I added the zone temperature of the automation department and zone temperature of the training room. Okay. Network inputs, pretty self-explanatory. Discharge air pressure, which we're not controlling anything off of it. Discharge air temperature, we're not controlling anything off of it. Outdoor air temperature, we're not controlling anything off of it. Return air, we're not controlling anything off of it. Supply fan status is used as a also airflow sequencing, so that will should disable cooling or heating if it's not made. I get a zone temp and a warm cool adjust. Now this zone temp and warm cool adjust, this is for actual one of the zones. I'm not using it for the unit. I'm using it for one of the zones. On the outputs, we got bypass damper, 2 stages of cooling, 1 stage of heating, supply fan command, fan speed, and this is the zone damper. Okay. So one of these, instead of putting a VAV on it, it already had an actuator on it. So we just left the zone damper on there. And I'm running a VAV program basically in this air handler program for it. So let's go through. Everything with a green triangle is something that we touched or made, right? So we got average temps. At first, I was going to average the temperatures between the rooms that we care about, automation, training, and accounting, and do some control off of it. But I kind of abandoned that idea. So we have training room control. So we do have a fairly large training room, and it's not occupied all the time, but this week it is. So we want to make sure that the training room is the priority room whenever it comes to the weeks that we have training going on. So really, the unit only controls off of the training room temperature. I'll show you that logic right here. So whenever we have training off, we're going to control to the automation department because we're there every day. Someone's in the automation department Monday through Friday. And then whenever the training room is on, we're going to control to the training room temperature. That's it. At first, we had this average temp for when it's off, but we found out that people like it different temperatures, so it's just easier to do the automation department. Zone temp set point. Let's see what I'm doing here. View logic. We're just making an effective set point for our zone. We have a set point, and we have the warm cool adjust. It either adds it or subtracts it. I know this is add, but this goes in the negative. If this is negative, adding a positive plus a negative, subtracting, right? Gives us our effective set point for our damper control program, which we'll just go over to now. So that damper control program, this is the VAV zone that we made, right? Pressure dependent. We're not picking up any flow tubes or anything like that. We have a couple different modes, right? Because the RTU puts out heat, it's gas heat, and it's got the 2-stage cooling. So in heating mode, we're just taking our temp and set point, our effective set point, and what we're doing is we're turning this reverse acting, right? So if it's putting out hot air, we want the damper to close when the temperature rises and open when the temperature lowers below set point. Cooling, same thing. It's just we have this as direct acting. Obviously, when the temperature rises above the set point, we want the damper to open. Whenever the temperature falls below the set point, we want the damper to close. And then the satisfied, we just have a minimum value in here. And we did make this. No, we did not make that magnet exposed. 10. I changed it to 5. I'm gonna change this so we know. Boop. Okay. So it'll go 5% open. We obviously you still want a little bit of air leaking by to kind of do the changeovers and stuff. But that's at the SAR accounting office. There's one lady that comes in there twice a week, and she likes it kind of warm. So I had to crank back that damper on the offside to make that work for her. Let's go fan speed control. This is what controls the fan speed on the unit. We're gonna view the logic here. So in heating mode, we lock this thing constant volume at 60%, right? At cooling, we actually use a PID. And in the PID, we have a low limit of 40 and an upper limit of 90. So the fan speed will adjust between 40% and 90%. And then when it's satisfied, we just ramp that thing down to 20% and let it go. And we're also sitting out the mode that it's in, right? Heating, cooling, or satisfied out to the VAV units. Didn't talk about that. So we got some network outputs up here, and we're sending those guys out peer-to-peer. So I like to do peer-to-peer pooling. That's what this symbol is right here. So we're pooling peer-to-peer these points and these points. This one, we're pulling that, but from the VAV unit, right? And then we have this room temp effective set point. That's just an output to display on the Jace, right? And the last thing we have is this bypass damper control that controls this guy right here. Fairly simple program. No, I'm not looking at discharge air pressure. One, we didn't know how accurate that was, how it was working. It wasn't working on the old system, but on the new system, it's actually working pretty good. So if we decided to go that route, we could. But this route works too. Let me just show you what we got going on. Right, we're adding our dampers. Here's our damper 2 and damper 3 from our network inputs. Damper 1 is actually going to be this guy right here. Remember, that's a zone. And we're adding those together. And we're going to a span block, right? And inside that span block, we have our bypass low set to 175. So basically you add all these up, and if it doesn't get to 175 degree or some 75, it starts to open up the bypass damper. Simple enough. And I could simulate this to show you how that works. Start simulation. Sometimes it's easier just to show you than tell you. Maybe. See if simulation works here. There we go. So bypass is open 97% right now. So let's say we had damper 1 at 50%. That brings bypass damper down to 71. Damper 2, 50%. Should bring it down to 42. Now if we did another 50% right here, 14%. 100. That way you always have enough air moving. See, that closed off the bypass damper because now we're over 200 right here. Right? So basically just span it. Linear output, opens and closes it. That's all we need. Something simple that works. But that's it on the air handler program. Let me show you the VAVs. So I'll close that. On the VAVs, we use the older gen stuff, so I need to change my rev down to 10.2. Obviously, the older PCGs, PCVs, they can't go beyond 10.2. Open. We're gonna go to Office. And oh, Office Gap. There it is. And they're all the same. I'll just choose automation. Here's that air handler mode that we're pulling from the network outputs of the air handler program. And the only thing we changed in this one was damper control. View logic. We got mode that we're getting from the air handler. In heating mode, same PID processor that we're doing in the air handler program. We have a low limit of 10% and an upper limit of 100%. All right. So this damper will never close beyond 10%. And heating was reverse acting. See, direct acting false makes that reverse acting. Cooling, same thing, 10%, 100%, but direct acting, right? And then satisfied. We're just plopping out a 10% out to the damper. And that's it. That's the only thing that we changed on the VAVs. And they're trucking along. They work perfect. And we're on this damper control program. We are looking at the effective heating and effective cooling. So the warm cool adjust does work. It does change our effective heating or effective cooling. So that's our programming that we got in the office. It's working so far. It might take a little bit of little tweaks here and there, but so far it's working better than the old system. So follow me later, and we're going to be hooking this up to a new Jace. I'm just going to build a station from scratch and walk y'all through that, how easy it is with the Johnson's widgets. Thanks for watching.